Hi, this is Shanetta Spriggs with Main Course Encouragement, and for this Wealth segment, we have Dr. Michael Wulf.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you today?
I'm wonderful.
Well, we are at the BDPA, and we're so happy to be here with you, the BDPACon 2019. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience, who you are, and where you come from?
Sure. My name is Michael Wulf, and I am the National Vice President for BDPA, Black Data Processing Associates. I've been a member of BDPA for many, many years. I'm actually a lifetime member now. And I come from St. Paul, Minnesota originally.
And what is your organization that you're directly tied to, and how you got connected with the BDPA?
So I actually got connected through BDPA through having raising two young boys that had a knack for technology. And so BDPA was through a family friend relationship, and we got them involved with it. So I was trying to be the parent, drop them off at the class on Saturday, and then basically run my errands, go to Home Depot, go to Best Buy, and hang out a little bit while the boys were doing their training. But as it worked out, I ended up, the person who was training the course actually quit and got married. Actually, I shouldn't leave it so negative. They got married and moved to Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And I had the opportunity to actually step in and use my IT experience to help coordinate and rally up a group of folks that would help continue the program in the Twin Cities. So that's how I initially got connected with the value of BDPA. So one key thing to say is BDPA's tagline is from the classroom to the boardroom. So we try to provide services for young students all the way up to executives.
So explain those services for those who may not know what you have going on.
Sure. BDPA is a 43-year-old organization. It started with being an IT professional networking organization for adults in Philadelphia back in 1975. Then, as our networks grow, you have friends in Atlanta, then pretty soon there's an Atlanta chapter, then pretty soon there's a Washington, D.C. chapter. And so our founder, Earl Pace Jr., and the late Dr. David Wembley started growing this organization. And then as it started to grow, there was one gentleman that I'll call out, Dr. Bemley, who started the high school computer competition. So we started with an adult professional networking organization, getting more Blacks into technology through coding and different types of data center management in all areas of technology. Then Dr. Bemley came on and introduced the first student-focused program for high school students, teaching them how to code, and that's called HSCC, or the High School Computer Competition, which is still going on today, and hopefully you had a chance to see the competition in action. Since that time, we've added IT mobile app development. We've added what's called the Youth Technology Conference, where there's a whole conference within a conference just for youth that are in middle school. And then we also have the true gaming, or some type of game development. Last year was Minecraft. We try to change things up, keep them fresh. And then we also have one really marquee opportunity for students that are maybe tracking to a higher level degree, or college students, and that's the IT Showcase. It's a mini or pre-PhD type program. So hopefully you had a chance to look at some of the artifacts that they produced and spoke to some of the students that are, were able to do their display boards and their mini dissertation projects, is what I call them. It's a lot of fun. It's not difficult at all. So.
Wow, and it's so inspiring. What made you all think about the high school students? When did you know that there was this parallel of where it's this dynamic of where we're not getting enough Black students into technology, and then to start with high schoolers?
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to repeat kind of history for the BDPA organization, and also I can maybe share a little bit about my personal experience and the things that I also do besides BDPA. I think back in the 70s and 80s that technology was still so new. Today, almost every young person has a smartphone or some type of technology. The smartphone that they're holding in their hand is probably 50 times more powerful than any big desktop computer that they had in the past. So back in the 70s and 80s, getting into BDPA, it was so new and so exciting that you had to start with a student that maybe had a higher level of maturity, right, to start with. They maybe had a little bit more math, or maybe not math. But I think high school, we're really trying to create opportunities for students to be prepared to go into the workforce. And not just the workforce, but I think education, looking at having options in post-secondary education. So not just, hey, after I get done with high school, what are you going to do? Going to work at a factory, follow your family lineage. But maybe there's an opportunity, there's this whole world of technology to be able to jump into that realm and then be able to be successful. And so it's very complicated, but there are so many people that are involved with this. Well, I mean, just all the people that put in the blood, sweat, and tears to make this happen. I have the luxury of being able to recap it in, 5 minutes or less. But the reality of it was every single person that came together to identify what the right level is. High school seemed to make the most sense to me as well. It gets them ready to think about options in college, think about options in careers. And also too, it's early enough maybe back in those days where you could adjust your grades, or maybe, hey, there's a lot of, IT isn't for everyone, but we're missing all those students that it is for, right? Or maybe all those students that, hey, I never thought I could do that, and they're actually really good at it. Everybody has a cousin or somebody says, man, you should have been like an architect, right? Or they can draw really well. Well, we missed that opportunity to capture that audience. So we started with high school, but then BDPA as being as in existence as long as it is, you also learn. So we started kind of peeling back, rolling back. So as we started at high school, we have middle school programs, as I mentioned, the Youth Technology Conference. So we attract also middle school kids. And then BDPA being a quasi-franchise, but we have chapters all over the United States. And so it really is up to the local chapter to decide what their programming is. So if they want to do early education, they could do that. If they want to do, elementary school, they could certainly do that. But in terms of the traditional programs that we have here, we are capturing and giving scholarships to the high school age students and then the college students.
What does it mean to you to be able to reach out to these middle schoolers? Do you think that you're stepping in and being a hero, helping out the parents who are like, oh, my kids are just always on their phone, always on the tablet, and then you're coming in to give them direction? What does that mean to you?
So to me personally, I guess I don't look at it as like a hero mentality type of thing. I think it's a very socially responsible, if you will, social justice, giving back to our community. So as we all may subscribe to the belief that nobody really gets ahead alone, right? You didn't get to where you're at maybe without a parent or guardian or somebody that took the time to nurture you, to be able to feed you, to make sure you had a roof over your head. However you get to where you're at, that I think is what we feel as being blessed with technology, being blessed with, fairly good jobs, and then giving back. I think would be the way I would probably describe it versus like, we're coming in to show these some kids. Now we do, like anybody, the volunteers that we have are just incredible. We have some situations where we have to pay for specific specialty, where we might hire a trainer, but for the most part, BDPA is all about volunteering and giving back. So they get hyped, they get excited, and not necessarily hero, but like to get everybody excited, you have to believe in it yourself. And so one of the things that I think that is the common DNA in all BDPA members is giving back is to the youth is probably the number one priority. No matter how we get there, no matter what you look like, whatever, path that you've taken in life, not everybody follows a linear path, right? If you actually sit down and talk to a BDPA member, you could say, I came out of high school, I might have been in jail, I learned my lesson, I got out, but hey, I learned this IT thing, and you come back. You have probably the majority of the people have been very blessed and successful. So they've been software developers, they've been managers, they've been database administrators through, from the 70s and on. And they're the ones like, hey, I learned all this cool stuff. How can I give that back? And so that's the vehicle that those persons are able to give back to society. And I subscribe to belief you have to give back. You have to give. So if you don't give and you expect to be paid, you're not really going to be fulfilled in life. So you probably may not fulfill your passion or might not be allowed to fulfill your passion if you're too self-centered, too egotistical, or, you're just doing it for money, right? So that's what my personal belief is. And I think, not speaking for all BDPA members, but that common thread is making sure that our youth get taken care of and have the opportunity to succeed, as well as, of course, older persons, right? The 20-year-olds, the millennials, reaching back to them. We have a huge collegiate initiative, and we have collegiate chapters. So they're popping up at everything from HBCUs. Thanks to the NSF and Morehouse, we've been able to secure a grant, and we have an entire collegiate planning initiative going on. But we have so many thousands and thousands, maybe over 15, 20,000 students that have graduated from high school, went on to college, and have been absorbed by these major corporations, and many of them start their own business. So we're finally rallying the troops, get that rally cry. But day forward, we're going to also service, collegiates. Beyond that, it started as a professional networking organization. So early professionals love to party. Some of them like to just, hang out. So we'll throw anything from chapter to chapter, throw parties, or we might have gaming competitions, or there might be coding hackathons that pop up from city to city. And our members participate not only in just ours, but we're also very collaborative. So there's other organizations that do things that we partner with. So BDPA as a whole collective really is trying to give back and service that whole continuum from the classroom to the boardroom.
I love that. I love that. We've heard about a lot of, we actually heard for ourselves, the members talking about how they just love that they can give back, that they get to see the children, and that the charity flows back in because something was missing as they were going through their careers. And that is just a very inspiring point that makes us also want to pay it forward with our experience being able to be here at this event for this entire weekend. And it's so beneficial. I mean, in more ways than one. People talking about self-care, people talking about getting all this vocabulary and holding yourself to this standard and speaking with confidence and knowing, like, go ahead, give it your all. Talk about yourself. Don't be in this laid back position where you're tiptoeing around certain people that have advantages in many career sets that we all are in or aspire to be in. What do you think the BDPA wants to have future members consider with their membership?
So potential members or future members is, you summarize it extremely well. I could just say, of course, and be done. But I will offer this and say that for any potential members, if you are truly interested in personal development, you want a career change, you want to learn something new, many of our members are really actually not IT professionals. They're HR professionals. They come in, but they know that IT was changing, so they have to become familiar with IT. Right. And then somebody needs a job change or a career change. This is joining a local chapter, like here in Atlanta or Charlotte or wherever across the United States, is a great opportunity to meet other people that are going to partner with them and be very friendly and open to helping them identify and develop what their talents are. Right. And then also help maybe move them along that continuum. And being an IT professional for over 30 years, I've found that you can learn the skill, but if you don't have what it takes inside anyway, you're going to just, have a job. But what we're doing is trying to create opportunities for people to have a fulfilling life and a passion and do what they love to do. And I think we miss a lot of people by, they label them as a nerd, or they label them as maybe an introvert. But those are some of the most talented people, if you use the example, able to inspire them and have them come out of that shell and really flourish and blossom. And we see that every day with BDPA.
All right. So you have a TV show.
We do, yes.
All right. Would you like to go ahead and talk about the TV show?
I can certainly talk about the TV show, but if I could talk about the organization first to position it, why it makes sense. So we started a nonprofit. My wife and I started a nonprofit through our family foundation, the Wulf Family Foundation, to really address the gaps and the needs in the technology, or the STEM, right? Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And that since has kind of grown into STEAM, which we include the arts, right? So we are really a STEAM organization, although we call it the Minnesota STEM Partnership. And through that, what we're trying to do is we took a look at all the local organizations, BDPA, as well as NSBE, Blacks in Technology, Tequity, and other Black, predominantly African-American organizations. And, being around for so long, I kind of thought, here's part of what we're missing. right? So if you're engineering, everybody sticks to engineering. If you're math, IT, you're pure. So we wanted to create a boundary-free opportunity for the students. So that's really the essence of what the Minnesota STEM Partnership is about. So we have a heavy focus on robotics and also drone racing and drone building, right? So we're trying to identify those skills where we can take students of color that come from urban areas. So our whole focus is on only urban areas. We have a interstate highway system around the Twin Cities called I-694, I-494 in the inner beltway, which is kind of a new terminology for Minnesota folks. But inside that inner beltway, we've found year after year that there haven't been many, if any, African Americans that have really been elevated to the level of being recognized for their contributions. So our youth programs are focused in on robotics and drones. We have a data architecture program, as well as we support and redirect students to the BDPAs and NSBs and all that. So we support everybody. And it's a very friendly, collaborative environment. So in that vein, we also picked up a high school focus through Minnesota State, which is the fourth largest state university system in the United States. We didn't know that, Minnesota State, but collectively, and they've been an excellent partner. So we created a program called Power Up IT. We have 4 of urban high schools. And so to supplement that and also provide content for our up and coming middle school and elementary kids was we created the TV show. And then the TV show is called Altitude. So it's shameless plug, altitude.minnesotastempartnership.org. But we've been able to identify through all of our relationships, all these incredible persons of color, the entire spectrum. Male, female, LGBTQ, whatever, it's indifferent. But if you're about technology and you have a talent that you want to share and talk about it, it's really a career talks set of interviews. And so we talk about 3 things. Every interview is really about 3 things: their education, right? Their career, and their lifestyle. So what did you do to get there? What do you do now? And then how do you like to spend all the money that you make, or what do you like to do personally? And it's actually really incredible because students are able to see for themselves in these little 5 to 7 minute videos, like, oh, this person is a major account manager at a major networking company like a Comcast or Xfinity. I don't want to mention too many companies, but they're at these major companies, and you're like, they are really on a pedestal to us, even professionals. It's like, wow, you do that? You say, well, then you got all these certifications, and then guess what? I'm a 2 or 3 time Ironman, and she, is a female. And you look at her, she looks like a normal person, and she's done all these incredible things. And so we're trying to capture that content so that when we're in the 4 high schools and more across the state, ultimately, is to say, here are people of color, genders, and people different to what we see in traditional IT or STEM-related career fields. But these are your people. And we're trying to just create opportunities to create more visualization so that younger people can see people that look like us in, doing what they do. And oh yeah, well, I was a troublemaker when I was in school. I didn't have the best grades, and somehow I decided I needed to do this. So I became a desktop support person, and that inspired me to go do something else. So these are the stories that we're trying to, to create, shine light on, so to speak. So just regular people, real talk, real people. And it's been very inspirational, very eye-opening opportunities for some of our youth. Say, hey, I can relate. We had one gentleman on there says he didn't know anything about computers. His trajectory was a family restaurant. And that's all he ever knew until he had an opportunity somebody said, hey, can you help me come move some boxes? Then the person asked him to unbox them, can you put them together? And whatever, the story, I might not get all the facts right, but that's how he got inspired to do. So that's what we do with the kids. We give them opportunities, create fearless, barrier-free opportunities for the kids to engage with technology. So, and that robotics and drones, they aren't cheap either, right? So that is probably one of the key things that we have we have we have the expensive equipment and the ability to administer the creation of clubs and teams, as well as be able to obtain equipment that an average student may not get a chance to play with in a structured or unstructured environment. And then being able to have persons like them, as well as it's Minnesota, so we have everybody chipping in, right? But there are opportunities for our college students nearby at the University of Minnesota and other colleges, Minnesota State, to come in and be the mentors in the classroom when we can't find a teacher that looks like them or they can relate to. So that's really the crux of what we do. So we've been blessed to be very sustainable here in the past 18 months. We have many volunteers that give of their time because it's much like the family you get with BDPA, right? To get back to why we're here at BDPACon. So what we've tried to create was a complementary organization to BDPA. And at the end of the day, BDPA is the one who benefits from it, and in all reality. So we give them quality kids for their coding. We also help them continue through that, classroom to the boardroom fulfillment. So hopefully
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That answers so much. Dr. Wulf, we're going to leave you with any last words and anything else you want to talk about as well. And of course, plug as much as you want to. This is Main Course Encouragement. We encourage lifestyle enhancement, innovation, tech. We encourage people to really live their daily dream life every single day so they can have their ultimate dream life and be givers. So whatever else you would like to give, I'm going to give you the microphone and then you can have at it and give all your information for the BDPA.
I would say for your audience that's watching this is go to BDPA.org. And out there, you'll find a link to find all the chapters that we have. And I would say reach out there, maybe send, there's a contact us form. I would say to consider joining a BDPA and really look at, if you want to give back, this is a great organization to do it in, especially if you're in the STEM related fields. There's chapters in many cities, and they will be there to assist you, or you can certainly start your own chapter. So it only takes a few people to start a chapter, and there's a process, obviously, to be a sustainable organization for 43 years. You have to do some things right. And so we've had some predecessors and leadership that have done all the right things to get us where we are today. The other part of the question that you had was, what would you tell somebody themselves to pursue their dreams? Never give up. I'd say if you truly believe in something, it will happen to you or you will happen to it. And so by that is, if you have the grit and the perseverance to succeed and keep trying and trying, you're going to fail. And I think that's one lesson I would almost bet every chapter as we deal with the youth, it applies to adults, is keep trying. Because if you are afraid to try something new, you'll never get ahead, right? You're going to stay exactly where you're at or even backslide. And so not giving up and being fearful to try it, BDPA creates a safe space for you to be able to do that. Even as an adult, as a networking opportunities that you have, don't be afraid to have your little business card together, have your resumes, or even if you just want to go and talk to somebody, every single member of BDPA is absolutely approachable. And what we found is that people are unassuming. So you don't know, you might be sitting next to the CEO or of their own company. It could be a senior vice president of a major company. We have major sponsors. There's many times where even happened to me, I was sitting next to an executive from Eli Lilly, didn't know who he was, but he was the boss of all the people that were here. And you just have to be your authentic self. So pursue your passion, don't give up, and don't be afraid to ask someone for help. Yeah. So please visit www.bdpa.org. We have a website. We're on Facebook at National BDPA. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter. So you can find us on all the social media platforms. And we're also maybe in your local city, look for things in Eventbrite or other community calendars for our chapters.
Thank you so much, Dr. Wulf. Thank you. And thank you all for tuning into this video. We hope you are truly inspired. So many golden nuggets with this. Be sure to check out all of the information, and we'll have it also in the description box. Be sure to go to maincourseencouragement.com and stay connected for your next wealth nugget for your encouragement.